Get this started. Call to order the Zionsville Plan Commission meeting of Monday, December 20th, 2021. Start by stating the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary Janice, you taking roll?
I can. Theodore,
Present.
Mrs. Walker,
Present.
Mr. Franz,
Present.
Mrs. Grabowski,
Present.
Mr. Lake,
Present.
Ms. Madrick,
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Present.
All members present, so a vote of 4 on any matter will be necessary for any matter to be passed or denied. In your packet was a set of 2 minutes, one from the November 15th regular meeting and the November 16th special meeting. Are there any comments, suggestions, changes to either sets of these minutes? There are none. Is there a motion to approve both sets of minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed by nay. Minutes are approved. I want to just state publicly that we've received 2 letters of interest from Mr. Mervyn Cohen related to the Zionsville Gateway Area Study, which we approved, or we recommended approval last month. So just to get that on record. On to business matters. Docket number 2021-53 MP, A Bristol 415 North 1100 East. Petition for minor plat approval to establish a 3-lot residential subdivision in the rural AG agricultural zoning district.
First of all, thank you, Mr. President. Mike Andrioli, 1393 West Oak Street. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to the board and staff. We're respectfully requesting a continuance of this. We received Board of Zoning Appeals approval subject to certain conditions, and in the meeting with staff to look at the conditions, the most notable of which is working with the fire department to make sure we comply with all of their requirements with regard to the road that would access the lots on this minor plat. And we're working through that at this point. In the working with staff, we determined that we had to go ahead and add an additional waiver with regard to the notice itself. So this comes before you with the request for continuance with the understanding that we are renoticing this. So it will not just be a table to the next meeting. We'll actually have a formal notice because we've got to make a couple of changes, brief changes to the notice itself to make sure the notice is in all squares with your requirements. In addition to that, that will give us additional time, meet with the fire department and work through some of the road issues that we have to have. And given the holidays and everything, it's just been very difficult to try to get all of that together. So we're sorry we have to request a continuance again, but at least we overcame one hurdle now, and we've got some others to overcome, and hopefully we'll be in a position to come before you at the January meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Andrioli. Is there any comments, questions on this matter? If not, is there a motion to continue this matter to the January 17th or 18th? 18th meeting with the condition that it's renoticed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion carries. See you next month. On to new business. 2021-67 CPA Town of Zionsville, 1100 West Oak Street. Petition for 2021-67 CPA filed for the Town of Zionsville, a comprehensive plan amendment to replace the previously adopted 2011 impact fee, which was part of the ordinance number 2011-14, and implement the proposed recreation impact fees pursuant to Indiana Code 367 or 36-7-4-1300 for the Town of Zionsville, Boone County, Indiana. The proposed recreation impact fee applies to all of the Town of Zionsville. The proposed replacement of the existing recreation impact fee would change the fee from $1,221 to $2,045 for new single-family homes detached, from $977 to $2,045 for new single-family home attached, and from $733 to $941 for multifamily homes. The recreation impact fee report compiles documentation of demonstrated capital improvements and includes forecasted schedule and appendices. Assuming someone from the town is taking care of this one. Oh, we got it right.
Jared Logerson, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation here in Zionsville. So for the past year, the department has been working with Matt Eckerly and Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors to create an updated calculation for this report to be included in an updated amendment to the comprehensive plan. So before you, we're hoping for a favorable recommendation to adopt this new calculation and fee for the recreation impact fee. And we're happy to answer any questions.
All right, is there anybody in the public who'd like to comment on this matter? Is there a staff report on this one, Wayne? Or-
Certainly, there's a memo that we prepared for your review. Certainly, the town of Zionsville has had this fee on the books for a number of years. Statutorily, this is a topic that needs to be revisited from time to time. It became time for that activity, which the town has undertaken. The fee is being adjusted accordingly. Certainly, the financial advisor is here to speak to that in great detail if you so desire. But certainly, this is a fairly common topic across central Indiana. And again, Zionsville has had this this fee on the books, I want to say, since 2011.
Okay. All right, with that, is there any questions, comments from any of the members of the Plan Commission?
Well, kudos to the Parks Department for superb parks.
Thank you very much.
And I would note that tonight's action as a comp plan amendment is something that you would formulate in a recommendation to the town council for adoption, rejection, or no recommendation.
You want a motion?
If there's no further comments or questions, then I would entertain a motion.
So I would move that Plan Commission make a favorable recommendation to Town Council in regards to petition 2021-67-CPA comprehensive plan amendment to replace the previously adopted 2011 impact fee, which was part of ordinance number 2011-14.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I guess Janice, go ahead and take roll. Thanks.
Mr. Fedor,
Aye.
Mrs. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Franz,
Aye.
Mrs. Grabowski,
Aye.
Mr. Lake,
Aye.
Ms. Madrick,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Go forward to the town council. Thank you very much. Were you expecting something a little longer?
I was prepared for something a little longer. Thank you.
We've had some long meetings. We want to get out of here on time for once. So. All right, next on the docket is 2021-61 PP and 2021-62 DP. Pulte Helms of Indiana LLC, Devonshire, 8666 East 400 South. Petition for primary plat approval, request to establish 106 residential lots with waiver on 68.59 plus or minus acres in the R2 Rural Residential Zoning District, and a petition for development plan approval to provide for the development of a 68.59 plus or minus acre site into 106 residential lots in the R2 Rural Residential Zoning District. Petitioner present.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. President. For the record, my name is Matt Price. I'm here tonight on behalf of Pulte Homes. My address is at 10 West Market Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. I've got two representatives this evening from Pulte Homes with me, Dave Compton and Robin Crawford. We also have our civil engineer, Brandon Burke. Thank you. I prepared a very brief PowerPoint, which can highlight, I think, the major points of this proposal. You may recall that the Plan Commission heard a rezoning request relative to this property. We called it the Goodwin property at that time. It's still the Goodwin property now, but we've subsequently named the project as Devonshire. It was rezoned by the town council at its first regularly scheduled meeting in October. And so we're here tonight, as you indicated, for a primary plat and development plan. You go to the first slide. I wanted to kind of remind the Plan Commission, this is the concept plan that was submitted in connection with the rezoning. And one of the key features of that rezoning petition was the perimeter landscaping. And in fact, the Plan Commission requested of us, and Pulte Homes voluntarily made a commitment to the robust perimeter landscaping, and indicated that when we came back for development plan approval, the expectation was the landscaping would match what we showed as far as the site plan at the time of the rezoning. And so I want to go to the next slide, Joe, if you would. We have complied fully with the landscaping as originally depicted in the site plan. This is the master landscaping plan out of the development plan proposal. If you kind of go back and forth between the two plans, you'll see that it matches up very well. We reviewed it carefully with staff to assure our compliance with that commitment. I should also add that there were other express commitments made in connection with the rezoning, one of which was to limit the number of homes to 106 single-family homes. That's been done as well. And there was a requirement that we submit our proposed commitments in writing at the time that we sought development plan approval. And we've also done that, and it's part of the staff report. You did mention there are two waivers requested in connection with the plat, which is a street radii waiver. And then we were also asked, although it's unusual in my experience, but technically probably applicable. We were also asked to obtain waivers with regard to the location of certain driveways within 75 feet of an intersection. These are not driveways that are on at the intersection themselves. They're actually across the street from where the intersection is located at a right angle. And so Brandon Burke and I were discussing that. I think historically there's not been a requirement to seek waivers under that scenario. But when we went through TAC review, it was suggested just out of an abundance of caution that we request that waiver, and we did in connection with this. The development team and I are available to answer any questions that you have, and we appreciate your consideration this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this point in time, is there anybody from the public who'd like to comment on this matter? While I'm doing that, can you check to see if there's anybody online who'd like to be recognized, or just purposes of getting in the record? Okay. All right, so at this point in time, take the staff report.
Thank you. Mr. Price did a nice job of summarizing the request for the primary plat. Again, we're looking at a plat for 106 residential lots, and there will be 4 common areas with that. As he mentioned, during the rezoning process, there was a requirement that certain commitments be made for the development of this project. They have submitted a draft set of commitments for review, and that has been provided to council also for comment and review. He also noted that there have been discussions with property owners on the opposite side of County Road 875 to make certain commitments for landscaping or screening of different types. Those commitments would not involve the town, but we just want to have it on the record that they are in discussions with those landowners, and those are going to be observed and followed through upon. There are 2 waivers requested in the motion of the staff report. We included language for you to first address each waiver request and then the primary plat itself. Staff is in support of the primary plat as filed, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. At this point in time, is there any questions, comments from any of the members of the Plan Commission?
I actually have one.
All right.
As I drive past that quite often, and have had a little concern about the one corner. And I see that you've addressed something there, but what is it? It's on C 2.8. And it says CA and then an A in parentheses. So it's like right there behind lot 4 and 5. Is that a lake, a pond, a drive? What is that?
It's a good question. Brandon, can you want to take a peek at that and see exactly what Mrs. Walker is referring to there?
I drew a circle around it if you want mine.
Did you say
Is that the bottom left corner?
Yeah.
C28?
That's a pond.
It's a pond.
Yeah.
It's a pond for,
Well, the
okay.
question is it dry or wet?
Because it's a pond anyway. Today, it's a big pond.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brandon Burke with HWC Engineering, civil engineer on the project. The shape that you're seeing before, behind lots 4 and 5, correct, C28, that's actually on our emergency flood routing plan. And on this plan, we've shaded areas that would stage up if there was no positive outfall through the storm sewer system, to where it would spill over and which direction it spills over type thing. So what you're seeing behind there, that shading, it's not a pond, it's not a dry detention basin. That would be the extent of where water, if the storm sewer were clogged, it would stage up and then start to spill a certain direction. Down in this area, I believe you're referring to like the existing condition that there's a little bit of a watershed that heads west and kind of goes down a lower elevation. We've designed storm sewer systems with inlets, and we've actually reviewed that and increased the size of the storm sewer above design standards to help ensure we collect that water and route it back east off the adjoiner to the west.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Everybody else? Matt, on the private commitments that are across the street, is that, do you guys, I mean, is there like a contract you fill out with the homeowners? I mean, how do you guys handle that?
Yeah, what we did is we made those commitments. They're private in the sense that they are basically a written agreement between that property owner and ourselves, but they're public in the sense that they've been made public. We filed those papers with the town. They were actually incorporated into the rezoning ordinance themselves. So they've actually been published and of record. And so they're private only in the sense that the obligation is just bilateral between Pulte and the homeowner, and does not include the town as far as an enforcement mechanism. And part of that was because of just the nature of the commitments where, for example, Mrs. Ide, who's across the street, just on the south side of our access onto 875, she's got some decisions to make. She's got some options to choose as far as what she actually wants. And part of that, I think, is going to be driven by what do the as-built conditions look like and what's best to address any, in her case, any potential for headlights on her driveway. And so that's just something that kind of lent itself to more of a written agreement as opposed to the town trying to enforce that one way or the other.
Okay, thanks. Is there anything else? If not, can we have I guess it would be a series of motions on these items?
Sure. I move that the waiver for the reduction of centerline radii be approved based on the findings included in the staff report, Exhibit 6A as presented.
Is there a second? All right. Any further discussion? Janice, would you please take roll?
Mr. Fedor,
Aye.
Mrs. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Franz,
Aye.
Mrs. Grabanowski,
Aye.
Mr. Lake,
Aye.
Ms. Madrick,
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
All right, that waiver is approved 7-0.
I move that the waiver allowing driveways within 75 feet of an intersection be approved based on the findings included in the staff report, Exhibit 6B as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Janice?
Mr. Fedor,
Aye.
Mrs. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Franz,
Aye.
Mrs. Grabanowski,
Aye.
Mr. Lake,
Aye.
Ms. Madrick,
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye. All right, that is also approved 7-0.
I move that docket number 2021-61-PP petition for primary plat approval to allow for 106 residential lots and 4 common areas in the rural R2 low-density, single-family and 2-family residential zoning district be approved based on the findings of fact and as presented, subject to resolution to engineering comments Exhibit 5, with waivers of the subdivision control ordinance for a center line radii reduction waiver and location of driveways within 75 feet of an intersection waiver.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Janice?
Mr. Fedor,
Aye.
Mrs. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Franz,
Aye.
Mrs. Grabinowski,
Aye.
Mr. Lake,
Aye.
Ms. Madrick,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye. That approved 7-0, and then on to the last one.
Is there one more? There's 2 different ones. Oh, the other, yeah. Where's that at here?
Here it is.
All right, I got it. I move that docket number 2021-62-DP Development Plan Petition for a major residential subdivision consisting of 106 residential lots and 4 common areas in the rural R2 low-density, single-family and 2-family residential zoning district be approved as presented with conditions as noted in the staff report and subject to resolution to engineering commitments Exhibit 5 and based upon the findings of fact.
Is there a second? Second.
Can we correct that from commitments to comments because you read it?
Yes, my apologies.
Okay, he accepts that, all right. So commitments is changed to comments. Any further discussion? Janice?
Mr. Fedor,
Aye.
Mrs. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Franz,
Aye.
Mrs. Grabinowski,
Aye.
Mr. Lake,
Aye.
Mrs. Madrick,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye. That motion also carries 7-0. Thank you very much. You too.
Happy holidays.
Next on the docket is 20-20 or 2021-63 PP and 2021-64 DP Henke Development Group LLC, Holiday Farm, Section 8, 3900 South US 421. Petition for primary plat approval with waivers on 23.24 plus or minus acres to provide for 28 residential lots in the PUD planned unit development zoning district, and petition for development plan approval to provide for the development of 23.24 plus or minus acre site into 28 residential lots with common areas for private roadways and dedicated public right of way in the PUD planned unit development zoning district. Petitioners online may begin.
Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. My name is Phil Sundling, and I'm with the Henke Development Group. I feel like this is probably the first time I've presented before 9 o'clock in Zionsville, so it's kind of nice. I will, before I get into the filing, just a quick update on Holiday Farms as a whole. We have in under 3 years sold over 400 lots among all of our sections here at Holiday, which is simply mind-boggling and a real testament to the type of place that you all in your town have built, and something we're truly thankful to be a part of. On the construction side of things, sections 1 through 4 are completed. Section 5 is wrapping up next week. And section 6 is underway and 7 to follow in the early spring. A number of homes are actually now completed with families living there, which is neat to see. Also, we had a tremendous year in the golf course. As you know, we opened the course in late June, and we were able to get over 13,000 rounds in, which is just wonderful. We've heard nothing but rave reviews from our members, their guests, and we've received a number of accolades from the golf community, including a second place ranking as the best new private course in all of America. We always hold ourselves to the highest of standards, but I will say that even that result exceeded our expectations, something we're very, very proud of. And that brings us to section 8, which is before you for consideration this evening. 27 single family lots ranging from just under 1/2 acre to over 2 acres on about 23 acres in total. This portion of the development is located along the northernmost boundary of our property along holes 13, 14, 15, and 16. These lots are very similar to what you've seen previously in Holiday Farms, with rolling terrain, heavy tree coverage, and a collection of natural streams. On this particular phase of the development, we have 3 adjacent neighbors to our north, Along these boundaries, we plan to maintain the existing tree line that's there now, and also plan to add trees in areas as needed to ensure a complete and robust buffer. One item I'd like to point out regarding a comment that came through last week from town staff regarding an existing 14-acre privately owned pond on a property to our north. Staff has requested that we explore this pond to ensure it's not a risk to a pair of lots downstream within this newly proposed section along Gem Creek. We were fortunately able to meet quickly with staff on site late last week, and our folks are actively working on providing some additional information at their request. Based on initial conversations with our hydraulic engineer, our expectation is that this pond, which has been in place for a long time, I think well over 30 years, based on the oldest aerial we can see it on. It doesn't show any signs of failure, sliding, or embankment weaknesses, which is what our engineer noted. We're not anticipating any sort of hazard to the downstream lots. Like I said, they're working on a report now, and that'll be submitted to staff very soon, backing their findings. So I just wanted to get you guys up to speed on that and at least relay a quick update. As far as our timing for this particular section, we're hopeful to break ground first thing in the spring, with a plan of completing lots later in the summer and getting homes going in the early fall. Again, with the demand at Holiday, we're certainly very excited to get this section approved and get the lots going into development. I will say also it's a little bittersweet for me tonight specifically, as this is the last remaining residential section in Holiday Farm. So I'm sure it's a little relieving for you guys. You guys won't get to see my face, what seems to be about every month, but we'll be back soon. I can assure you that. It's been a pleasure working with you guys on all of our Holiday filings, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this point, is there anybody in the public who'd like to comment on this matter? Being none, staff report, please, or?
Thank you. Within the staff reports for the primary plat and the development plan, it's noted that there are very few comments remaining to be satisfied. Staff acknowledges and supports the 6 requested waivers, including cul-de-sacs whose auto term exhibits were reviewed and accepted by the fire inspector. However, to the north of Holiday Farms project, there is a dam constructed that is forming the lake. While it might not reach the threshold of the DNR review, engineering has requested a risk analysis for the dam to assess the peak flow rate that could result from a failure and the hydraulics of this passing through the proposed culvert crossing the Gem Creek. In order to allow the petitioner time to research and potentially provide documents or correction to documents, staff is providing a conditional approval at this time until staff comments are fully satisfied.
All right, thank you. At this point, is there any questions, comments from any of the members of the Planning Commission? So a conditional approval would be, we give it a conditional approval. What would send that back to us? I'm just curious.
I think the language, Janice may answer this better, but I think the language be approved conditioned on satisfying any requirements from staff resulting from this risk assessment.
Exactly.
Okay. And if something showed up, you would then bring it back on the docket the next month or at the earliest convenience.
If it deviates greatly, yes.
Okay. All right. This thing had 6 waivers, or what? How many waivers do we have?
6, I think.
This is correct.
So do we need to do separate?
No.
So she has this for, okay, I just want to make sure. All right, any further questions, comments? If not, is there a motion on the primary plat?
I move that docket 2021-63-PP petition for primary plat approval with waivers on 23.24 plus or minus acres to provide for 28 residential lots in the PUD Planned Unit Development Zoning District be approved based on the findings of fact and staff report and conditioned on approval by staff of the risk assessment.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, comment? Janice, would you please take roll?
Mr. Fedor,
Aye.
Mrs. Walker. Aye. Mr. Franz,
Aye.
Mrs. Grabanowski. Aye. Mr. Lake,
Aye.
Mrs. Madrick. Aye. Mr. Jones.
Aye.
All right, primary plat is approved with waivers, 7-0. Is there a motion on the development plan?
Do we need the same condition as part of the development plan or not?
Yeah, you can make it.
I move the docket number 2021-64-DP Development Plan Petition to provide for the development of a 23.24 plus or minus acre site into 28 residential lots with common areas for private roadways and dedicated public right-of-way in the PUD Planned Unit Development Zoning District be approved based on the findings of fact and staff report and conditioned on approval by staff of the risk assessment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further question or discussion? Janice?
Mr. Fedor,
Aye.
Mrs. Walker. Aye. Mr. Franz,
Aye.
Mrs. Grabanowski. Aye. Mr. Lake,
Aye.
Mrs. Madrick. Aye. Mr. Jones.
Aye.
That also passes 7-0. Mr. Sundling, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the Plan Commission for working with us on issues as they arose, and congratulations on a great project.
Thank you very much. Hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
You too.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks. All right, there's one other item on the docket. Who's going to handle that?
I will take care of
Okay.
that. Just a very quick update that we have a church, the Mount Run Regular Baptist Church at 250 South 775 East, that has done some interior improvements. Building commissioner has approved that their breezeway, I would call it for lack of a better term, be updated to be improved by adding two sliding glass doors there rather than the window and the single door that they have, basically to help with ADA and help entryway for those that need a little bit more assistance in that way.
Okay, thank you.
And then just to explain why this is brought to you, our own zoning ordinance mandates that we, the staff, report out to you when we have made a minor amendment to an approved development plan. Now, this is something that many of you are very familiar with, some more than others, related to this process, but it does get a touch confusing for projects to which you may not recall ever seeing a development plan. In Boone County in the rural area, prior to your organization, the area plan commission did not have a development plan process that was hosted by the plan commission. The issuance of the building permit, in essence, was that development plan. So in this particular case, we are bringing to you an amendment to a development plan of which was actually approved most likely by the planning staff originally, but still to live up to the word of the ordinance, we're bringing it to you as we're required.
All right, thank you.
And as somebody who's visited that church before and worked with them on some outreach projects, I can tell you that needs to be done.
All right.
Maybe to add a
Lovely
little more color to this is that on occasion, Wayne and I have exchanged phone calls where previously approved projects have come back and revised the exterior nature of what we approved, and I'm not a big fan of that.
And
You get some approved, you got to go build it.
I think relative to that, there's some language in there, but the significant change is kind of, I guess it's, what is the definition of significant? It's like, what's the definition of reasonable? I mean, everybody has a different definition. So I trust, I mean, I agree this was a very minor change. And I would assume that if there was something significant, this would have probably been a separate matter on the docket.
Correct. It would have been a major amendment. Correct. And these and many other things are being looked at with McKenna, the team that's working on the form-based code, to make this process a bit easier and digestible for the public staff and the plan commission.
All right, thank you. With that, is there a motion, any other business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Move.
Second.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year, happy holidays, all that stuff, and we will see you
After Martin Luther King.
January 18th.
Very good.
Do you have a recycling thing?